Good morning. Page 48, Pasuk Chavbet. It's actually one of my favorite Pasukim in Mishlei. Yeah, let's roll. Pasuk goes, Ad matai petayim te'avu peti v'letzim letzon chamdu lahem uksilim yisnu dat, which really means how long, O simple ones, will you love foolishness? Page 49. And mockers delight in mockery, and fools hate knowledge. Now, these two words that he brings here is actually fascinating. First is ad matai, which means how long. I remember when we used to misbehave in high school, my teacher would get so upset. He used to say, "Mlo achshav em matai." When are you guys going to start behaving? He always used to quote like these type of pesukim. I guess he was just like that type of guy. But if you realize the way he's speaking here, every time that Shlomo Melech talks in this type of way, he's not crying. He's not talking in a way of shouting or giving musar in a harsh way. He's crying as a loving person. He's saying, don't go down that road. And he says here, and what we're learning from here is how long, he's telling the fool person, how long will you keep living small? As a Jew, we always have to live big. My rabbi always used to say, we have to always think big. Think big, think big, think big. I think that's why all the rabbis who came out of this program are pretty big, including my father-in-law. I don't know, the big rabbis out there all went to that program because he always used to focus on the concept of living big.
Which program is it?
By Berkowitz in Israel. It's called Jerusalem Kollel. It's like a three-year program, like super intense. So the main thing he always teaches is you always have to think big, and that's why all of his guys are successful. Now, he says he's teaching us that each time a person says ad matai, how long will someone push to change the change that you need to make? How long will you live reactively instead of purposely? How long will you numb yourself with the distraction around the world instead of feeling alive? Right? As Jews, you have to feel the moment, feel alive to make moves with what's going on. And Hashem's Ad Matai here is this gentle wake-up call that echoes really the moment of discomfort in our lives. Right? When we have discomfort in our lives, discomfort is a way for growth. I always say this, that if there's no discomfort, then there's no option for growth. Because by definition, you need to have discomfort for the growth. Because what's growth? Overcoming that obstacle. So in our lives, we look at obstacles in life, we think of it as a test or whatever. It is a test, but that test is what ultimately makes you great. Right? Would you rather have everything in your business on a silver platter, or would you rather have your business come to you with your work that you're actually doing? Why? Because your work that you're actually doing means something to you. Whereas someone just gives you $1 million and figure it out. And what are the petayim that he's talking about here? These simple ones are not evil, they're just people who don't think. They float life, they let the current around them carry them, and the word peti comes from the word patuach, which means open. The peti is too open, he's open to every influence, every trend and every distraction around him, and he believes everything he hears, he absorbs every value around him, and never stops to ask what is really true. And today we actually have this a lot. You have people just go through the world because things are just going on, so let's just go through it. But the smart one that Shlomo says here analyzes every single thing around them and realizes, what do I really want from this thing? What do I want from that? And the saddest part that Shlomo Melech is saying here, he's saying te'avu peti, that they love being in that state. They love being in the state of just going with the flow. We said in Rosh Hashanah, she'el rosh lo zanav. Our goal in life is to be the rosh of the zanav. Right? You always have to be the head and not the leader, never be the follower. Right? You could be a follower of a better leader, but again, you should always be the person who's leading something great. Now, this is really the danger of our generation, is that we're drowning in information, but we lack wisdom, like we said yesterday. We lack reflection of that knowledge that we have. Right? We scroll endlessly on our phones, but really nothing really practical comes out of that scrolling. Right? I was speaking to someone the other day, he told me we looked at his screen time, he said he has, I think it was just on TikTok, he had 6 hours.
Wow.
I'm like, dude.
That's so.
No, Jack was on Art Scroll app for 6 hours. But if you think about that, 6 hours a day, let's go even less. 3 hours a day on TikTok, okay? Add that to the week, that's more than a full day of your week just scrolling on TikTok.
Wow. People spend years on it.
It's crazy. You know, and what are you getting out of it? How to like, I don't know, see some guy's outfit of the day. I don't know, whatever your feed is going. I don't know. My feed on YouTube is cooking.
Yeah.
You know, like, but everyone has their own feed. But if you, at least I learned something from it. I'll make that thing for dinner. You know, but like guys would scroll, and it's crazy. So Shlomo Melech is saying here that, you know, you shouldn't be afraid to think differently than the world, because the world's way of thinking is not the way we think. Right, the world is it's obvious that they try to portray on a certain topic, certain ideologies that we don't believe in as Jews, and Lo titosh Torah timecha really echoes that never astray from the Torah of your mother, which means the concepts that we're given. You know, I was telling this someone yesterday. My son every night, he's 2.5. My son every single night, when I put him to sleep, he asks me to say Shema with him. I don't even have to say Shema with him. He says, Abba, let's say Shema. Why? Because since he was born, every single day we said Shema when he went to sleep. So he's used to saying that Shema. Right? Why am I saying this? Because when you're raising your kids in a certain way, then that will stay with them. We said 2 weeks ago, when you're growing a tree and the roots are wrong, then the tree will ultimately grow like this. But if you grow your tree straight, it'll grow like this. There's a story. Right after the Holocaust, we know during the Holocaust, a lot of children went to churches and went to mosques. That's where they were keeping them, and a lot of them end up becoming Christian. I mean, that's not really possible because a Jew always stays a Jew, but they ended up converting to Christianity. And the Panovich Rav, when he came to Eretz Yisrael, he went back to I think it was Poland or somewhere there. He's like, I'm on a mission to get back some Jewish children, and he went to one of the big churches there, and he went to their lunchroom, and he's walking in and he asks the guy, he's like, can I see if we have any of my brothers and sisters here? The rabbi is the what's it called? The priest is like, no. He's like, can I at least say a couple words? He says, yeah, you have a minute. He gets up there, he stands on the stage of whatever, the lunchroom, and he says one pasuk, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. And you had there hundreds of kids were running to him, Abba, Tati, Father, like Daddy, everyone just running to him. Why? Because they remembered that as a kid. They remembered as a kid every single night their parent putting them to sleep, and that stuck with them for life, to the point that that's what really ultimately saved their life. That they ended up coming back to Eretz Yisrael. That's what saved their life. Okay, so continuing on the pasuk, it says, "V'letzim latzum chamdu lahem." Mockers delight in mockery. Shlomo moves deeper here, and he says that a person goes from naive, which is the petty, to the cynical. The letz isn't innocent. He knows better, but he laughs it off, right? You have a friend. You tell your friend, I'm not going to an NK restaurant. He makes fun of you, goes, why are you such a loser? Why are you not going to an NK restaurant? Come on, be like us. That's really the letzim, right? He mocks what he doesn't want to face himself. Why? Because it's easier if you can't be like them, you mock them, right? This mockery becomes his form of armor. It's easier to laugh than to grow, than to commit to do something, right? And if you think about it, you can always see how this concept of sarcasm here with the mockery is always what really is, it perverts the person's thoughts. Look, we gave that example of going to an NK restaurant. The guy will mock what you're trying to do with a sarcastic comment. You're a rabbi now, or you're this now, or you probably got this, you put on Rabbeinu Tam, you're religious, you got that before? Like, oh, you're super religious, putting on Rabbeinu Tam. Like, that's the way, the guy can't do it himself, so what does he do? He makes fun of you that you're doing it. And it happens all the time when it comes to religion. The guy can't be like you, so what does he do? He puts you down. And it's not just religion, it's everywhere in life. And the pasuk, it says, Kselim yisnu dat, and fools hate knowledge. Shlomo reaches the final stage here, is Kselim, fools who hate wisdom. These aren't really people who don't know, they know, but they just reject it. They've heard the truth so many times, but they refuse to change themselves. Why? Because that knowledge demands responsibility. If I admit I know what's right, I have to change. So it's easier to just hate knowledge than to face knowledge in the first place. The fool says, don't tell me musar, don't guilt me, I know what I'm doing, let me just live my life. Now, but deep down, what he's really saying is that I don't really want to face my own self. I said the ultimate form of growth is to understand what you're doing is wrong, even if you're not fixing yourself. Why? Because then you can actually start fixing yourself. If a person denies the truth of what he's up to, he'll never be able to fix himself. But the fact that he knows what he's doing wrong, even though he's doing it wrong, he could at some point down the line fix it. And that's the idea. So there's really the three things that Shlomo Melech is saying here is the petty, which is the person who stops thinking. Then you have the person who's the letz, who starts mocking. Then you have the person who's ksil, who starts hating the truth itself. So you start off as the person who stops thinking, then you start off as mocking, then you start hating the truth itself. That's the levels that in the Musar Sfarim they bring that all the time. It always goes step 1, step 2, step 3. So Chokhmah really calls out here what Shlomo HaMelech is saying. You're saying Ad Matai, before you slide too far to that port of a ksil, stop before being a petty, before even stopping to think. Meaning, start thinking throughout your whole life, and B'ezrat Hashem, we'll be able to live a life of understanding everything around us and live a life of greatness.